Hello there, Math 133 students. In this video, I'm going to give you some help with Chapter 4, Project 1, Exploring the Correlation Coefficient. All right, so let me click on that, and then let me open the Google document at this link. And as per usual, this is not your Google document, so you want to make sure you're logged into your Google account. Again, I recommend Chrome as your browser. And we're going to click File and Make a Copy. Or you can download it as a Word document or an open document format if you need to. But making a copy is nice. And I would recommend that you put your name here, right? Either here at the end or here at the beginning with the copy of, one way or another. It just makes it easier for your instructor. So I'm going to click Make a Copy. All right, so let me make this a little larger so we can all see it. So we're going to type our names at the top. So up here on the line, put your name right there. That's lovely. I don't know why I made that bold, but there you have it. All right, so there's that. I'll unbold it here. Okay, so now it says, after completion, submit either by URL, blah, blah, blah. So I'll show you how to do that. Don't worry about that. But it says answer the following questions. All right, so we're going to access Applet in StatCrunch. We're going to log into StatCrunch, and we're going to select Applet's correlation by I. Okay, so I'm in StatCrunch. I've logged in. So I went to statcrunch.com, and I've logged in. And then I'm just going to click this big yellow button at the top that says Open StatCrunch. So I'll click that. And then we're going to go to a place we've never been before, Applets. So Applets, and we're going to go down to Correlation by I, right there. So we click. And then you can kind of ignore all of this and just say compute. I'm actually going to make my point sizes a little bigger. I'm going to go 3 and see if that's good. And say compute. There we go. Isn't that lovely? Okay, so I've got this thing. We don't really know what it's doing, but I've done that. So in the applet, click Show at the bottom of the window and Reset at the top of the window. Okay, so let me go do that. So I'm going to click Show at the bottom of the window, where it says Show. I'm going to click Reset up here at the top. Done. And then we're going to leave all the graphs their size, and we have to show the correlation coefficient everywhere. That'll be okay. If you clicked on Show, it should work. So we're going to create a scatter diagram of 12 to 15 observations with a moderate positive relationship. Okay, so you can move your cursor and you just click in different places. I've put in 10 dots so far. I need 12 to 15. There I'm at 12. And I need my correlation down here to be moderate. Well, currently my correlation is 0.8512, which I think is actually strong. So give me 1 second. Let me pull up the sheet that shows these. Remember that your exam packet, right, which is where I'm going to get this from, is always available under important documents in Canvas. So here's Appendix A, the exam notes packet. It should be yellow if you have your course pack in physical form. And right here is the page we're interested in. We're interested in this gauging direction and strength from the correlation coefficient, this piece right here. We want a moderate positive relationship. And a moderate positive relationship is the blue section from 0.5 to 0.8. So my relationship currently is too strong. But what you can do is you can move your cursor so that you can click on the dots and you can drag them away from the central line, right? There's an imaginary line kind of in the middle, and you can pull your points away from that line. And look, now my correlation is 0.7675. And that's moderate, right? That's in the moderate positive zone. So now I want to take a picture. So I go to Options, Copy, and I'm going to right click and copy the image. Now you'll notice that image has the correlation at the bottom. That has to be shown. That has to be there. So make sure that your picture has it. All right, so I copied. Now I go in here under letter A, part 1, letter A, and I'm going to paste, Control V. And there it is. It's huge, but that's okay, right? Do not resize them. Just leave them like they are. That correlation should be showing. All right, so now you just move the points around. So you're going to move your observations and make it a weak relationship. and you're going to move your observations and make a strong relationship. Now remember, you actually have a vague sense of what strong and weak relationships look like because we have them in the notes, right? So we have some pictures of what a strong relationship versus a moderate versus a weak relationship looks like. So you can see the weak ones are really spread out. So that's what you would do. You would take your dots and spread them out, right? And you want to make it so that you turn your correlation coefficient from a moderate one to a weak one. A weak one is between 0.3 and 0.5. So you just kind of start dragging the dots. So click, and if you end up with more dots, it's not the end of the world. But you're just trying to make it so that you've got a weaker relationship. See? Now I have a weak relationship. So I've moved my points enough. I can say Options, Copy. I can right-click and copy the image. That correlation is still showing. You should still be able to see the correlation, and it should be weak, right? Then you move the points to a strong relationship. Well, a strong relationship has the points nice and clustered together, right? So that's what you should do. You should take your points, close this little picture, and start pushing them together, right? Instead of making them farther apart. Right, there's a diagonal line that you're kind of hovering around. And there you go. You have a strong relationship. Copy, copy the image, and paste. All right. Now, if you aligned all the points into a straight line with positive slope, what would be the value of the correlation coefficient? That's a question that's in the notes. It's all over the notes, in fact. So enjoy that. You can answer that question. And then you're going to do it all again. So I recommend hitting reset. You don't have to, but I think it's easier if you just hit reset at the top and redo the points. But this time make it have a negative relationship. Make it go down. It should say negative for the correlation. And then you just do it all over again. Make it negative, moderate, moderate negative, make it weak negative, make it strong negative, and then answer this question. If you lined all the points along a straight line with negative slope, what would the value be for the correlation coefficient? So that's in the notes. You can look that up. All right, part 3. Create a scatter diagram that has no relationship. Well, no relationship is in the middle, right? So you should have a correlation coefficient between negative 0.3 and positive 0.3. And again, there are examples in the notes for what a graph like this looks like. So do that. Hit reset and make it have no relation, but make sure it's 12 to 15 points. So I currently only have 4, so that's no good, right? But you make it so that it has 12 to 15 points with no relation. Then make it have a U shape. Again, probably with 12 to 15 points, but make it have a U-shape pattern, right? So it should look like a big capital U, and paste that scatter diagram. And then what does a correlation coefficient close to 0 suggest? That is also in the notes, so you can read that and type up an answer. So write your answer in there. And then this last little bit is strange, so let me kind of help you. In the lower left corner of the applet, draw a scatter diagram of 12 to 15 observations with a correlation coefficient around 0.8. Okay, so I'm going to hit reset. You have to draw your points down here in the bottom left corner, and you need 12 to 15 of them. All right, so I'm too strong right now. I'm 0.9519, which is no good. So I got to grab them and pull them a little bit apart here to make it closer to 0.8. Oh, look at that. 0.7996. That's great. Okay, so that's really close to 0.8. I have had some students actually manage to get 0.8 exactly, which is lovely. But it's got to be down here in the bottom left corner, kind of clustered. All right, so it says to cluster them in the bottom left corner, paste the scatter diagram. Okay, so options, copy, copy that image, and paste it in. There we go. Now, add another point in the upper right corner of the applet that roughly lines up with the other points in the diagram. Okay, so if you look at this, there's a line, right? That those dots are clustering along a diagonal line. And what they're saying is, hey, put one point over here on the far right that's lined up with that line. So I did. It says paste the scatter diagram. Okay, so I will. Options, copy, copy that image, and paste it in. Lovely. Now, look at what happened just by me adding that point. The rest of these dots have a correlation coefficient of 0.7996, which is strong, right? It's good. Actually, it's not quite strong, but it's there, real close. And then once I put that one dot in, it went to 0.9737, which is very, very strong. Now it says move that additional point around. So take this point and start playing with it. Move it down. Look at what happens. Move it over. Look at what happens. Right? Move it around. See what happens. This is 1 point. Look at what happens. Huh. So, move that point around the scatter diagram and note how the correlation coefficient changes. Explain why the correlation coefficient is not a resistant measure. Well, you can see what's happening. We have an outlier here, right? And that one outlier can have a huge effect on that correlation coefficient. The rest of these dots are 0.8, but that dot makes it 0.08. Well, that's terrible, right? That is not resistant. Resistant means that it resists the pull of an outlier, right? So we can say because one single outlier is having a huge impact on the correlation coefficient. That means that, and I'll let you finish that sentence out. Right? But that's what's going on. Right? So one outlier is having a big impact. Talk a little bit about resistance, and you're done. All right, so now we're going to click Share, because we're done with this. And we'll change it so that instead of restricted, it's anyone with the link is a viewer. Then we'll copy the link. We'll go to the assignment, and where it says web URL or upload, we'll click web URL and paste. Give it a second to think about it, and then click submit. Or if you want, you can save the whole thing as a PDF. You can download as a PDF and then upload a PDF. It's fine either way, so whichever way you want to do it. I think this is quicker, so you don't have to know your file structure to do this. So you've paste the URL, click submit. Huzzah! We have confetti. So we know we did it, and life is grand.